Alright mga kapatid, sa nangyaring ang Manila Dialogue, isa na namang representative ng China ang nalekturan. Panoorin natin to mga tol.
I'm just a young nigga chillin' on it. First time I seen ice was a
Alright, welcome ulit sa ating bagong video reaction, review, commentary, opinion, criticism at kung ano-ano pa. So again mga kapatid, panonoorin natin kung paano malelektura na naman ng katotohanan, facts, based on document, based on international law mga tol, etong representative nga ng China. Babae naman to ngayon mga tol sa pagkakataong to. So bago natin to panoorin at talakayin, huwag nyo kakalimutan mag-subscribe, click nyo na rin ang notification bell para ma-notify kayo whenever na may mga bago tayong reaction video tulad nito. At syempre kung ikaw naman ay nanonood sa ating Facebook page, huwag mo rin kalimutan mag-follow and like. Ako po, maraming salamat sa lahat ng ating mga bagong followers dyan. At marami na mga Pilipino talaga ang nabubuksan ng diwa ang kaisipan para sa totoong ipinaglalaban natin dito sa West Philippine Sea. So huwag na natin patagalin pa, panoorin na natin to mga tol.
And I just want to share a few facts here.
Sabi niya, gusto daw niya mag-share ng mga katotohanan dito.
So China, as Dr. Ko mentioned, had huge protocols with the US. China and India also had border management. And if you are familiar with what happened between China and India, it was fist fights.
So alam naman natin yun di ba may problema ang India at saka sa China dito sa border nila mga tol. Kaya nagkaroon sila ng tunggalian doon pero sapakan lang yung nangyari nun.
Between the two militaries during the borderline. And what happens in the news today is the two sides of militaries exchange candies, sweets. So that is what is the new facts for you. There are mechanisms that works if we agree to sit down on the negotiation table and really talk about.
So sabing ganun mga kapatid, lahat naman daw ng problema ay maayos kung tayo ay mag-uusap lang ng maayos. Which is nag-a-agree ang Pilipinas dyan mga kapatid. Kaya nga ang ginagawa lagi ng Pilipinas is nagpapadala tayo ng diplomatic protest at lagi lang tayong nananawagan mga tol, never tayong gumante, never tayong bumawi sa mga agresyon nila. Ang lagi lang nating tugon is diplomatic protest, which is napakarami na nating naipadalang diplomatic protest. Na ang lagi lang naman nating hinihiling, kilalanin sana ng China ang karapatan ng Pilipinas dito sa West Philippine Sea para walang problema.
What could work? And I think the puzzle here is FONOPS. We talk about FONOPS and how Chinese military will intercept the other side's military, either naval vessels or fighter jets. But we never talk about where are those fighter jets and where are those naval vessels. They're inside China's territorial waters or airspace.
Yun ang problema. Kasi nga yung kabuuan ng South China Sea is tinuturing ng China ng kanilang territorial waters. Which is nasasagasaan na nga yung karapatan ng ibang mga bansa na nakapalibot doon sa South China Sea. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung ibang bansa, dito na lamang sa Pilipinas. Ito nga yung pinag-uusapan ngayon West Philippine Sea.
And I think we have reached a consensus that there are disputed territories, right? So why do those kind of FONOPS in the disputed territories that you know it would definitely be read by Beijing as an inclusion or invasion of territorial space. Of course, the Chinese Air Force and the Navy would be in operation to intercept because Chinese also need to defend its core national interests and sovereignty. And also we understand that there are disputes over territorial sovereignty that could not be solved. And that's why I think for at least the last 2 decades, our former leader Deng Xiaoping proposed joint development and shelving the disputes, and it worked. And also it worked between China and Vietnam. We have reached agreements on several different things on how to manage the disputes over territorial waters. But why can't we do it with Philippines? And I think this is what we need to do, is to focus on how we can save lives from preventable crises or incidents rather than focus on the past, which are already the facts for today and the context there we are operating right now and today. And China, as the second largest navy in the world, China also enjoys freedoms of navigation. But I don't think China would do as the US or its Western allies do to sail in disputed territory waters that is outside China's claims. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Okay, so ngayon, panoorin naman natin yung magiging tugon, mga tol, ni Ray Powell, mga kapatid, no? Panoorin natin.
So I'm going to go ahead and frame this in response to Sophie's presentation here. And I want to start with a question of why are we seeing more collisions, more crises in the South China Sea than we have in the past? What is the major change that has happened that has caused this? And I think that the answer is actually not freedom of navigation operations, because those have been happening all over the world for over 4 decades. Freedom of navigation operations are not a new invention. What is different is the environment in which they happen, right? So a freedom of navigation operation in US Navy parlance is simply an assertion of rights under UNCLOS, right? It's freedom of navigation through a particular claim that in the US Navy estimation, or the US estimation, is unlawful. And so they're going to go ahead and challenge that claim. The United States does it against their friends. They do it against their allies. Anyone who has in what the United States believes to be an excessive claim under UNCLOS could be subject to a freedom of navigation operation. What is different is the simple amount of paramilitary capability in the South China Sea brought by one country, the People's Republic of China, and that country's willingness to use that in an aggressive way to try to assert its changes to the previous status quo. And this is what I mean by that. I started studying the South China Sea in the 1980s. Back in the 1980s, nobody tried to control the water. There was essentially disputes over features, a reef, a shoal, a rock, an island, right?
Ng 1980 yun, ha?
So we saw a couple of bloody confrontations, say in 1974, in the Paracel Islands, in 1988, at Johnson South Reef, but it was, all of those were centered in on individual features. That's because nobody had the capacity, the capability to try to control water. What we are seeing today is an attempt to control water. And the way I tend to frame this is that this is actually the most successful expansionist project in the past 50 years. People are familiar with Russia's territorial expansion in Eastern Europe, and that has, depending on how you think of it, it can't simply be considered an unqualified success by any means. But China's expansionist project, which has taken place in the maritime space, in the gray zone, through the application of paramilitary maritime force, has actually been remarkably successful. And the way I think of this, let's take, for example, what happened August 11th. We saw a collision between a PLA Navy ship and a China Coast Guard ship. But we don't often talk about why that happened.
So ito, ang tinutukoy dito ni Ray Powell, mga kapatid, yung nangyaring ang banggaan ng dalawang China vessel dito sa may bandang Scarborough Shoal dahil sa paghabol nila doon sa maliit na barko o ng bangka ng Philippine Coast Guard.
The ship that was in the closest proximity, in fact, extremely close to the bow of both ships, was a 44-meter Philippine Coast Guard ship, which was being pursued. By both ships and came dangerously close to being rammed, right? So we had a 7,500-ton guided missile destroyer pursuing a 350-ton Coast Guard ship,
Grabe, no?
along with a large China Coast Guard ship. Why was that happening? Why was there a gray hull, a Navy destroyer, involved in this at all? It's because that Philippine Coast Guard ship was in a place that until about 18 months ago, Philippine Coast Guard ships went all the time. That is near Scarborough Shoal, maybe about 10 nautical miles away. The reason there was a Navy destroyer all of a sudden getting involved, which had previously not really been experienced, was because this was sort of the laying down of the law for this new regime that was going to say, you can't come here anymore. It was a change in the status quo that we have been tracking at Sea Light about a 30 nautical mile exclusion zone being enforced around Scarborough Shoal since about May of 2024. This one ship, this one Philippine Coast Guard ship, was inside that exclusion zone, and that was what drew out the destroyer. So we are seeing an aggressive change to the status quo around Scarborough Shoal. We have seen an aggressive change to the status quo at Sabina Shoal. We are seeing a maritime expansion, and we're seeing it happen in the gray zone. So what is, now let's talk about cross-regional cooperation. How long are we going to experience maritime expansion in the South China Sea or in East Asia generally? Until, in the estimation of the People's Republic of China, the costs of expansion outweigh the benefits. Clearly, they are not there at this point. The Philippines has tried two innovations to try to, to nibble away at this cost-benefit calculation. One, of course, was the arbitral case that they brought in 2013 and which they won in 2016. And of course, the second has been this transparency project. Having one country do these things, in Beijing's estimation, clearly has not been enough to cause it to say that the costs outweigh the benefits. This is where cross-regional coordination, cooperation is not just timely, it is overdue. At some point, there needs to be enough cooperation so that Beijing concludes that this expansionist project needs to end. And I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Diba mga kapatid, napakalinaw. Napakalinaw ng lahat ng mga bagay na nasasaksihan natin dito sa South China Sea. Kahit na pagmamatuwid mga tol mismo ng kanilang mga representative na meron naman daw mga pamamaraan para maituwid, para maitama, para mapigil yung mga tensyon, yung mga banggaan, di ba? Napakaraming pamamaraan daw na nagwo-work, sabing ganun kanina ng babae mga tol. Pero kung titingnan mo, sino ba talaga ang ugat? Sino ba talaga ang pinagmumulan ng mga kaguluhan na to? Kaya napaka-importante mga tol ng mga ganitong klaseng dialogue kasi dito talaga naha-highlight. Dito talaga nakikita ng buong mundo mga kapatid kung sino at sino. 'Di ba? Ang problema nga lang mga kapatid dito rin mismo sa kanitong dialogue is nalalantad yung patuloy nilang pagtatakip o patuloy nilang pagtanggi, pagbiging bulag-bulagan sa totoong nangyayari. Yung iba tinatawag pa nilang disinformation. Ay nako po, buti na lang talaga meron tayong mga ganitong klaseng eksperto, meron tayong mga ganitong klaseng tao na ipinapakita sa ating lahat kung ano ba yung totoong nangyayari dito sa karagatan. Anong masasabi ninyo rito mga kapatid? Comment na lamang kayo sa ibaba. Hanggang sa muli, ako nga pala si Shobaldi. Peace out.